Hello, welcome to Chapter 3, Section 3, Solving Systems of Linear Inequalities. With these application problems, we're getting closer to the linear programming, which is really relevant in a lot of different places. That's the next section we're going to be getting into. So do your best to understand these. Here we go. So we have a charity. They're selling t-shirts to raise money. The cost of a t-shirt is $15 for adults and $10 for students. So that's what they're selling the t-shirts for. The charity needs to raise at least $3,000, but it only has 250 t-shirts to actually sell. It cannot sell more than 250. It doesn't have more than 250. Going back, it needs to raise at least $3,000, so anything less than $3,000 is bad. $3,000 is okay. Anything more than $3,000 would be good. So that's the inequalities we're going to be dealing with. Now it tells you what you need to find. Write and graph a system of inequalities that can be used to determine the number of adult t-shirts and the number of student t-shirts. There's my two unknowns. Now I could use A and S for adult and student. I almost said T for t-shirts, but A for adult, S for students. That's good. However, if you're going to use Desmos to graph, which is going to come up in the next section, you know how I keep talking about the next section? It's important. Desmos doesn't know what A and S are. They think of it as parameters. That's where you're going to get the sliders. So if you're going to graph it, we're going to have to use X and Y. Okay? I can still use X and Y. All I got to do is tell you what they stand for. So I'm going to let X represent the number of adult t-shirts, and that's the number of adult t-shirts that they are actually going to sell. Okay, I'll write that down. They actually sell. And I'm going to let Y represent, same thing, but the number of student t-shirts. Again, that they actually sell. Okay, now let's look at the constraints that we have. Okay. The charity needs to raise at least $3,000. So that means the number of t-shirts that you sell that are adult, the number of t-shirts that you sell that are student, all of that money from that sales has to be $3,000 or more. Okay? Well, how much money do you get from selling an adult t-shirt? One of them is 15. Two of them would be 15 times 2, which is 30. 10 of them would be 15 times 10, which is 150. So what I'm seeing is, for the money, if I take 15 and multiply it by X, the number of t-shirts, adult t-shirts that I actually sell, that's going to tell me how much money I'm going to make from adult t-shirts. The same argument works for the student t-shirts because they're $10. So multiply 10 times Y, and if I sell one t-shirt, it's $10. 100 t-shirts, it's $1,000. Okay, 10 times how many I'm going to have. If I add these two amounts of money together, I need that to be greater than or equal to 3,000. Pause that, rewind it, listen to me say it again, ask questions. The other constraint is they have only 250 t-shirts at all. Okay? By the way, we're kind of assuming that it's $15 to charge an adult, $10 to charge a student. So if you're a student, they're all the same t-shirt. You just get like a $5 discount if you're a student. Okay? When we've talked about this problem in the past, there's been questions about, well, don't you already know how many adult and student t-shirts that you have? It's all the same type of t-shirt. It just depends on who you sell it to. Students get a discount. Okay? That being said, for the number of t-shirts, the number of adult t-shirts that are actually sold plus the number of student t-shirts that are actually sold has to be less than or equal to 250. Because the total number of t-shirts that they sell cannot go more than 250. Okay. Now I got a graph on the next one. So I'm going to copy these. I got 15x plus 10y is greater than or equal to 3,000. Hopefully I can graph that on here. And x plus y is less than or equal to 250. Okay. All right. So my boundary lines for both of them, and these are going to be both solid lines. 15x plus 10y equals 3,000. So if x equals 0, I get 10y equals 3,000. Divide both sides by 10, and y equals 300. Excuse me. That, excuse me, that's right there. I gotta get something to drink. These times when I make a lot of videos, kind of gets to my my voice. If I let y equal 0, I get 15x equals 3,000. And if I divide both sides by 15, I get x equals 200, which is right here. By the way, I want to mention this, okay? Check this out. What I'm actually doing here, if x equals 0, that means that they sold no adult t-shirts. This means no adult t-shirts were sold. And in order to make the $3,000, that means they have to sell exactly 300 student t-shirts. On the other extreme, this means that there were no student t-shirts that were sold. So because they're more expensive, or $15, they have to sell exactly 200 adult t-shirts, again, to make the $3,000. These mean something within the problem. So be thinking about that. I am going to use my ruler to draw that boundary line, and again, it's solid. If they are exactly 3,000, they're okay. They'd like to have more. And when I say more, that means I'm going to shade on this side. Okay, now let's go back and talk about the number of t-shirts that they actually have. By the way, I forgot to label again. This is the number of, what I say X was, the number of adult t-shirts sold. And over here, this was the number of student t-shirts that are sold. I usually get to it, I just don't do it all in order, okay? X plus y equals 250. So that tells me that if x equals 0, that means that y has to be 250, which tells me that if they sell all the t-shirts, then if they don't sell any adult, they're going to sell 250 students. 250 is right here. By the same idea, if they don't sell any student t-shirts, that means they're going to have to sell them all to adults. And 250 is right here on the X. And I'm going to draw that line like so. And here's the idea. They cannot go over 250 because they only have 250 t-shirts. So I'm going to shade this below. And now you're going to notice that it's this area right here, this wedge, this triangle, that's going to represent how many t-shirts that they could actually sell. Okay? So any XY pair in here, and again, you're selling t-shirts, so you're not going to get X's or Y's that are decimals, okay? So even though we have all the decimals are on the coordinate plane, it's only the whole numbers in this case that would count. But any XY pair that's going to be on here. And there's one more boundary line here. It's assumed, but I need to be clear about it. I also have another boundary here, so I end up with this region which looks like a triangle. The reason why I have that is because you can't have X has to be greater than or equal to 0, and Y has to be greater than or equal to 0. That wasn't part of this problem. It's going to be coming up in the next section, because you can't have a negative number of t-shirts. That doesn't make sense. You can't go below the x-axis here. Okay, we'll see you in the next video.